Welcome back. My name is Brother Lewis, and I've been talking about corruption and leadership. Um, if you're not familiar with the channel, there's many videos. Click on the channel page and go back to the very first channel, the very first video. It will explain what it is that I'm doing, what I'm talking about, and why I'm doing it. I'm a part of an organization called the United House of Prayer for All People. And I discovered in the last few years that our leaders, to include the top leader, our chief executive officer, is involved in a great deal of corruption. And the rest of our leaders beneath him are involved, and they protect one another while covering for each other and take the opportunity to deceive, mislead, lie to, and misguide intentionally the members of the organization. This has been going on for literally over, that I'm aware of, 50 years by literature that I've looked at. Other literature I've suspected it goes back further than that. I've been a member of the organization for over 40 years. I was hugely indoctrinated. I believed everything and anything. I'm actually going to say this. This is the first time I'm saying this throughout this series of videos. I'm actually glad and I'm grateful that I was indoctrinated. Because being indoctrinated allowed me to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into the goings ons, the intricate detail, the interweavings, the laws, bylaws, procedures, policies. I've been one to kind of pick apart things so that I can understand it intricately from the inside out. I want to understand what it is that I'm a part of so that I can enhance it, so that I can make it better. That's what I've noticed throughout my years that I've done. So little did members know that different companies that I've been in, I was actually promoted and flew through management as a result of finding details, little teeny tiny details to unravel and uncover things, how to make it better. Incidentally, many times I found corruption. There's been 1, 2, 3, 4 companies that I was a part of that I was quickly promoted through the ranks and became part of management. And by quickly, I mean within a few months' time. But I began to see different things that stuck out to me. Long story short, I would advocate on behalf of anyone that did not have a voice for themselves. I have a pretty lengthy and extensive history of the individuals that I've helped, the groups that I've helped, the cities that I was a part of where I would receive recognition or honors. Our members don't know anything about this because we do a very poor job of getting to know our members. And anytime you're a part of an organization or an institution where the heads and the leaders do nothing to get to know the people beneath them, or there is no program set up for top-down promotion from within. If you don't have any type of system to regulate the individuals that's a part of your organization, allowing them the opportunity for advancement and promotion and personal growth and development from within your organization, then it's probably because there's corruption somewhere at the top. Most of the time, when there's no opportunity for advancement from within, it's because the top is being controlled. They cannot allow people to come up from the bottom to take those positions at the top because they can't allow people that's not in the know to all of a sudden come in the know because they don't know whether or not they can trust them. So at the top, if it has corruption, they need to suppress and keep the people down here. People don't need to know. Up here is by invitation only. When you have an organization with integrity, the likelihood is that there's going to be systems set up for promotion from within. Now, that's not guaranteed. Every institution that does not have a system for promotion obviously doesn't mean that they're corrupt. Some, it may be due to the nature of that company. For example, there's some facets of political groups. There's some facets of military and security groups where privacy is paramount, including secrecy. So when you're dealing with levels of information that the public literally cannot know because that information might endanger people or that information might cause public outcry or public panic, especially while things are not yet fully developed. You have to be able to control that. So obviously, every institution that does not have promotion from within, it doesn't mean they're corrupt. But for the most part, it is. We're certainly in a corrupt institution, and the top is tightly guarded. You're not going to break those barriers. You're not going to get inside unless you are very, very, very well known, and they see that you don't mind playing along. But in order to play along, you have to get your hands dirty. So anyway, let me say this before I continue. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and it is intended for anyone that finds interest in this type of content. My hope is that individuals around the world will benefit from the things that I'm sharing pertaining to our organization. We're in the process of getting ready to clean it up. We're doing everything that we can to get ready to fix things. And by we, I mean myself and others that are part of the organization and others that are former active members. And I say former active because we have former members that have not disassociated themselves. They've just not been attending and participating. It doesn't mean that they're no longer a member. It simply means that they are a member who was upset, offended, done wrong, mistreated, unlawfully abused or misused, or whatever the case may be, that they stepped back so that they could observe from a distance. There's many people who are not active in right now, our organization, United House of Prayer for All People, that love the organization. It's all they know. Their family members, their friends, the activities and the environment alone, the memories, the camaraderie, the brotherly love, the affection that they have for the people, even the events. A lot of people miss the music. Many people love the music, to be able to pour out of themselves and create such beautiful sounds, albeit choirs, soloists, musicians, even public speakers, individuals that had a gift of oratory deliverance, who could speak and wow the audience, not because they were putting on a show, but simply because they had a way with words, they had a way with reaching people, they had a way with penetrating those defenses where people are putting up their guard because they're not trusting individuals as a result of being hurt. Many people have been hurt and misused and abused to such an extent that they literally have built up walls around them that are impenetrable. You can't get through to them because they have up walls, and people don't understand. It's not because the person's cold, it's because the person has been hurt so very much that they're not willing to allow anybody else in so that they can get hurt again. So there's a lot of people that are not active, that are sitting back, just waiting. Some people got tired of observing from a distance and just gave up waiting. It doesn't mean that they're no longer a member. It simply means that they were so frustrated that they're no longer observing. But there's many people who got word that people are beginning to rise up so that we can clean up the organization and sweep up and get rid of the filth and all the junk and the gunk and all the mold and the mildew and the infestation and the bacteria and the viruses and the leeches, so to speak, meaning the corruption and all the interwoven politics and the backstabbing and the jealousy and the envy and all of the hatred. This all needs to be sifted out like sifting wheat. And you have crumbs and clumps of dry, powdery substance that's somehow gotten boggled up inside that bag and where it doesn't want to fall apart. And if you leave those clumps, then that clump can attach another piece of floured particle and attach itself to it to stick and bind. And if you leave it there long enough, it can grab more and grab more until that little teeny tiny clump becomes a bigger clump, taking away other portions of the flour that we can use in order to bake our cake and present it for everyone to admire, adore, and appreciate before we eat it as a dessert for this very, very lovely dinner and this meal that's been prepared for all to enjoy. In other words, what we put together and what we end up with as a result of our assembling as we fellowship and we utilize our gifts with one another in the spirit of love and the spirit of peace and unity, then we can have something magnificently beautiful. It doesn't have to be this thing that is detested by society, this thing that people want nothing to do with because it's so grotesque. This thing has hurt so many people, abused so many people, traumatized so many people that when they see it coming down the street, they run the other way. They jump inside of their cars and take off. They quickly get their children off the sidewalk and out the front yard and run into the homes and bolt the doors because they don't want nothing to do with that thing that's coming. That's where we are. We can turn this around. As I've said, we can do better. It's looking very, very much like we will be doing better because we must do better. And the information that I'm presenting now, you have to see. There's no denying. We got to do better. We have to. Therefore, as a result of all these things that I'm presenting, people are up in arms and they're ready. The only thing constant is change. Change is inevitable, and as a result of this organization being completely blown into pieces, miscarried and misguided and misled, mishandled, we have to do better. It's well beyond, way past time for a change. Change is coming. That said, I'm going to play this recording now, and after I've covered information in this video, I'm going to play it again at the end. But listen to this and see what it is that you think. That was one of the recent speeches. I call them speeches because they're not sermons. That the individual that's currently in our leadership position spoke concerning myself. Let me do this. We talked about earlier a website that had information pertaining to taxes as well as 501c3. Now, I'm going this route so that I can kind of discuss 501c3 and General Assembly information simultaneously at the same time. That way, it just makes more sense so that I'm not making separate videos. I can actually combine them and show the General Assembly delegates why it's important to understand the Robert's Rules of Order so that you can appropriately and effectively utilize this information in the General Assembly meeting that is coming up in 2 weeks, and do so while also keeping in mind, keeping in the back of your mind, how important it is because we are a tax-exempt organization under the umbrella of a 501c3. So you must understand these things. And therefore, I've given a few websites to look at. I'm going to give a few more where all you have to do is sit back and take notes. Okay, and you're going to see videos where they're explaining every single part. This is easy, simple, straightforward, direct information so that you can understand what it is that you represent and what it is that you're going to this meeting to do. But let me refer you once again to a website that has many different links. This individual has been a consultant for any business, any company, anybody that would like to incorporate and set up a nonprofit, anybody that would like to apply for a 501c3. This individual has gotten many accolades from individuals as well as companies for their work and how they've led and guided them into setting up, into fixing, into maintaining, or finding problems in order to troubleshoot within their companies, institutions, or organizations. So this particular website has so much information, and I've been kind of going through it to pick it apart. So I'm finding different tidbits of information. And I enjoy this website because there's so much information at your fingertips right there, made available to you for free of charge. he does have information that he has put together that is for sale, but he's so knowledgeable in his field, and the extent of research and the detailed information that is given is hands down one of the best I've seen. I've been very, very thoroughly impressed with his presentation of the information that he's made available to the public, and it's been up for several years now. Anyway, he gives all kinds of links, direct links to IRS websites, governmental agencies, as well as for anybody to fact check his information. He makes it easy and puts it right there. So he's out in the open, and he's very, very transparent with the individuals with the information on his website. And he's done his own, not just extensive research, but he puts the links to the various statutes, the various laws, the various state laws, the various federal laws. You can't go wrong on this site. So anyway, his main objective is to make sure that you as a company are compliant with the laws of the land, the laws of the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, as well as complying with the laws of your state. Not just federal laws of the land, but the laws that you are the laws that are in place in the state that you are operating in or doing business in. So on this page, we're going to cover, once again, we're still on board members, but look at the website at the top, right here. Okay, forms1023.org/nonprofit-bylaws-template 501c3-sample. Scrolling down to number of board members, their powers and terms of service. Now this is for anybody that would like to read along with me, but I'm going to be reading from this few parts. So it says, most problems in a nonprofit organization arise because of conflicts between board members, and I can tell you horror stories from the amount of emails that I received of angry directors who are seeking advice which could have been avoided in the first place if proper and complete nonprofit bylaws were adopted by their organization. If people understood the importance of understanding your Constitution and bylaws, then many times conflict would not arise. We in our organization, once again, United House of Prayer for All People, are going through an ordeal as a result of individuals not really understanding the laws as written in the Constitution. And as a result, people did not know that they were being lied to and manipulated all these years, literally over 5 decades, 50 years plus. So I'm sharing with everybody and exposing the fact that our leaders not only have not complied with the laws, but they've been rewriting laws. They've been replacing laws with other laws that they are creating outside of the will of the people, outside of the consent of the people, and definitely outside of the authority of the law. So with that said, again, they're saying most problems in a nonprofit organization arise because of that reason, because of conflicts between board members. And in this particular situation, my wife and I were part of the General Assembly in 2022. She was there 2021. I was there 2023. We both were there, parts of the General Assembly. And in 2022, we learned that the head in the organization, they were a part of this corruption within the organization. So when I went back in 2023, my intent was to bring this information forward to the organization. Now, I have this entire story in detail in a previous video. But here, I was not allowed to present the information. Little did the members know that many of the things being done in the meetings was being conducted outside of the law. So with that said, this is why now I'm showing the importance of following, adhering to the Constitution and the bylaws. So I picked it apart, showed the people what's in it. Long story short, the Constitution says that nobody can change our Constitution except the people through the General Assembly. But we've had a slew of constitutional revisions, and they've been printed in our constitutions, unbeknown to the members, and then tricked into believing that they changed the Constitution. The members were tricked, manipulated, and deceived by the leaders as they presented the new constitutions after a General Assembly. So they would change the Constitution, put those changes in a new Constitution, and then have the new Constitution printed up. And on the day of the General Assembly, they would present information saying these are proposed changes. These are proposed amendments. And we're going to put them on the floor for you all to discuss so that we can vote on them and get a vote. And now you have a brand new Constitution. But the people don't know that they lied to them and they deceived them and they manipulated them. Why? Because the people are so indoctrinated, so was I for over 40 years, that they did not do their own due diligence. There was no research. There was no discussion. This information was not presented to the people for them to talk about and discuss through our proper channels. Therefore, the individual, the chair of the board, who is our General Assembly Secretary, allowed these unlawful amendments to go through our General Assembly and moved the people by the influence of the chief executive officer being present in the General Assembly, which is a no-no, and presiding over the General Assembly, which is also a no-no. These are both individual actions that are conflict of interest because he has no place or say in the General Assembly. Definitely not supposed to be presiding over it. And for the chair to give room, space, authority for the CEO to conduct the General Assembly is another no-no. So what I've demonstrated is that our leaders have been in cahoots with one another, working together. Now, this says that if our members understood the law, then there'd be no conflict. Not really. It would minimize conflict. There'd be less conflicts, making it easier for the people to work together for two reasons. One, when somebody does wrong, you're going to catch them on that wrong and call them out on it. Nip it in the bud. Reason number two, people are going to be more leery and hesitant to do wrong because they know now that you know the law. And therefore, they can't do the wrong that they would have done if you didn't know the law because nobody's going to call them out on it if they do it. But now that you know the law, they're going to have to second guess themselves. Well, how can I get away with this? How can I do this X, Y, Z? Because they now know. That's the benefit of knowing the law. That's the benefit of understanding the procedures of the orders of the meeting as well, so that you know how a meeting's supposed to be conducted, so that you're not being railroaded and thrown to the side and they prevent you from speaking, so that you cannot give this information to the other individuals in that meeting to deter the direction they want to go. All that said, they were able to get away with all this because our people did not know the Constitution and our people did not understand the protocols in the orders of a meeting. We're doing all of this to fix this now. Let me continue reading through this. This section should cover every related scenario regarding the organization's board. It should address the number of directors who may serve at one time on the board, and this number should not be less than 4 people. Now it says here, or more than 15. Okay. I have said, now this is saying a board of directors should not have more than 15. I have said the way that the organization has presented the General Assembly to the members, it gives the impression that the General Assembly is the board of directors. I'm going to say this one more time. I said this before, but I didn't say it loudly. I alluded to it. I believe that there is a board of directors in our organization that they're not telling the members about. I believe that the General Assembly is being used as a front. I believe that they only allow the members of our organization to see from the front a General Assembly, while they intentionally defraud the members of the organization into thinking that they're in charge by allowing them to come to this General Assembly and talk about the Constitution, but not really talk about the Constitution. We're going to let them think that we're talking about the Constitution. That wink, wink. So by setting it up, it looks legit. But the bishop, CEO, going to be there. And we're going to put it in the law that he gets to preside over it. So you're going to direct which way it go. The general counsel going to be there. And we're going to write it up in another laws. Okay? Letting it be known that they're the highest ecclesiastical body of the organization, to further intimidate the people. The General Assembly Secretary going to be there to steer the meeting into the hands of the Chief Executive Officer. That's what I believe is going on. I cannot prove that. Not right now. Therefore, since it is not right now proven that that's what's going on, the organization has no choice but to be under the impression, as we always have been, that the General Assembly is the board of directors. So, since we have that impression that we are in charge as the board of directors, known within our organization as the General Assembly, well, then the members of the General Assembly need to come to the General Assembly with the mindset that I'm the one in charge. Every member of the General Assembly is the boss. The bosses in a nonprofit organization, they don't get paid. They volunteer their services. And the only money that they can get is money that they're getting in order to reimburse them for money that they spent out of pocket to defray the costs of coming to Washington in order to have this meeting in the first place. That is why, members, you must be given a check from your congregations in order to help you with the expenses for making your way there. Listen to this. Most states, let me go down. The section of the bylaws template also addresses the number of terms each director may serve and whether there are any qualifications such as age or abilities required for serving as a director. If you haven't read the Board of Directors Complete Guide, then you should, as it will answer all of your board questions. There is a guide that you should have that covers all this information. Now, they've been saying that we have an orientation for all of the delegates coming to this meeting. We're going to orient you to all the information that you need to know. We're going to make sure that you understand what your role is, what your responsibilities are, what your obligations are to the people that you represent, otherwise called your constituents, who elected you to come here in the first place as a delegate to represent the people of the organization. You do not represent the leader. You do not represent any one person. You represent the organization by representing the people who sent you from your congregation. Now, it says here, spell out the manner of acting, manner of compensating, meetings, hiring, firing, electing, and suspending members ahead of time, just like the sample nonprofit bylaws below, or I guarantee you'll be sending me pleading emails after the honeymoon phase of the organization has passed. And what they just said is, you want to make sure that you put in black and white how the organization is going to deal with any hired member or officer. It says you want to spell out how you want them to act, how you want them to be compensated, how you want them to meet the board, how the board wants anybody else to be compensated. Meetings, the hiring, the firing of people, how your elections are run, suspending members ahead of time. All that should be done ahead of time. If you do that, it will cut down on a lot of problems down the road. I talked about compensation for our leaders, and I'm going to talk about that at great length in a few more minutes. Let me go down to the bylaws concerning the board of directors. Terms: all directors shall be elected. You see terms at the top? Look at the bullets right underneath of it. All, the very first word, all directors shall be elected to serve a what? 1-year term. We have elections for our delegates to go to the General Assembly. How often? Annually. Every single year. And when you elect them, they're going to serve for how long? 1 year. This is why. All directors, if you're a delegate, you are a director. If you're being elected and you have this term to come to represent the people, you are a director. Your job is to come, attend this meeting to help direct the organization, which way it's going to go and what it's going to do. That's your job, as well as to oversee the CEO. Your job is to question the CEO. Your job is to make sure that the CEO is compliant with the law. Your job is to make sure that the CEO is abiding by the rules. Your job is to make sure that the CEO and everybody else that's been put in any position by the board of directors, your job. Let's stop talking about the house of prayer for a moment, and let's imagine you have built your own business. You built a business. 5 years later, your business is blown up. You're doing good. You are successful. You made it. Congratulations. Now it's time for you to go public. You need to hire some folk. And you are advised that one of the people that you need to hire in order to operate the company, run the company, manage the company, oversee the company, is a CEO. You as the owner, let's say that you are an owner/operator. You decide that you're going to make this company a nonprofit, and you're not going to take a pay in order to continue building your company, because you're going to make it a brand. And while you're continuing to build the company, you decide, I'll get paid later. I want to build the company up and I'll get paid later. So I'm going to give 3 years of my service and I'm going to build it up. And then I'm going to step off of the board of directors. On the board of directors, as the owner, I'm going to see to it that the individuals don't have a problem with me being the chair. After all, I'm the owner. After all, I built this. And my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears is in it. And they see that I'm intent on taking care of the company and taking care of the people. And they love me for it because I'm transparent. Okay. So we decide we're going to hire a CEO to run it. So we're going to pay them, because in a nonprofit, you can hire people, you can pay people. Those people just can't be in charge because it's a nonprofit. It's like saying Salvation Army, when they go out in the year and they got people ringing a bell for donations, the person who is their CEO operating the Salvation Army, that person cannot be if you're a nonprofit. I'm very leery of my words. If you're a nonprofit, I don't want to give any indications as if I'm implying something. I simply use an example and I start thinking. I don't want to give a false impression of anything about Salvation Army. I love Salvation Army. There's a whole lot of good that they've been doing, and I don't want to make anybody in the public think that there's anything wrong that I'm alluding to. I'm not. So let me just backtrack. But I was beginning to use that example because everybody knows them. They're all over the place, and they're out, and people are working hard, giving hours and hours of their time, ringing a bell, because they believe in what they're doing. They believe in their cause. They believe in doing everything they're doing to help the poor and the needy and those who are in situations and emergency conditions. So if we imagine somebody that's out there like that, which they are, but then you find out something going on the inside, which there is not that I'm aware of. I'm not even suspicious of them. But I use them, again, because it's a shiny, pretty badge with this organization that is highly esteemed in the eyes of the public for doing good. It's like the Red Cross. They are everywhere doing good. If there's an emergency situation, you see them out there, people in polo shirts and khakis, and they're getting dirty to help these people. And all this money and resources and time and energy and effort is going to help the people. In another situation, then they're there and they're there. And besides the Red Cross, Salvation Army got that shield right there. They're there to help. Blue Cross, same thing. My point is, you cannot pay somebody in this position and they sit on the board of directors and be the boss. That's a conflict of interest. Because now it looks like the money that's coming into that nonprofit, that money is being absorbed and going into somebody's pocket. When money is coming into a nonprofit to go inside a board member's pocket, then that should not be a nonprofit. That's a for-profit agency. Nonprofits, board members, don't take money out of the nonprofit and put in their pocket. You're going to run into that problem that we talked about before called inurement and personal benefit. And those two things are unlawful. They're illegal. With that in mind, you should not put yourself in that position because it's going to hurt you and it's going to hurt the organization. So with that said, let me go back to another point. IRS reasonable compensation is defined as, here is another page. You see this? How much can you pay your nonprofit CEO? Okay, now look at the question. How much can you pay them? The nonprofit organization, the board of directors, they get together and they decide and they determine not only how are they going to get paid, they determine when they're going to get paid, they determine how much they're going to get paid. They determine all of these things so that they're in the know. No one is going to hire a CEO to come in and then they have their budget and they can put their hands on anything whatsoever to take advantage of anything. They can be in any system. They can use anything that they don't have any limitations in. So with that in mind, they're not being given the house and the home, so to speak. They're not in the position where they can just, we say, make yourself at home and do whatever. That's not a CEO. The CEO is supposed to be watched. They're supposed to be observed because of the risk of corruption. And a CEO is already in a position where they can influence the people around them and under them. And therefore, they should be closely watched to make sure that they stay in line with the laws, that they're in compliance with the laws. This goes into this subject. How much can you pay? As in the for-profit companies, and especially the financial sector, the nonprofit tax laws have been hacked to pieces to ensure that top charity CEOs can enjoy their seven-figure pay, private jets, and multi-million-dollar homes in the Caribbean. In other words, this person is saying that we have people that are at the top of nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit organizations are supposed to be helping a situation or a cause. Nonprofits are not supposed to be helping themselves. This is where self-benefit, personal benefit, this is where inurement comes in, because you're not to help yourself in this nonprofit organization. You want to help yourself, then start a for-profit company. If you want to help yourself, then get off of the board of directors where you're controlling the company and put yourself in a position where you can get paid by the nonprofit organization, because that's all ethical. That's all legal. It's legitimate. You can do that. But to put yourself in the seat to drive the organization to go where you want it to go and to do what you want it to do, you're putting yourself at risk of an audit and at risk of penalties and fines and maybe even imprisonment. They go on to say, the IRS reasonable compensation is defined as the value that would ordinarily be paid for like services by like enterprises under like circumstances. In other words, the salary that you're going to pay your CEO in a nonprofit organization should be comparable, if you're going to give a high rate of pay, to what's given to other CEOs, like that company that you run. Let me go down a little bit further, and then I'm going to cover this one section. Compensation. I'm going to let you see it. Transparency. Compensation of the nonprofit criminal executives. There's a lot of criminal activity in a lot of nonprofit organizations. Unfortunately, we happen to be one of them. And by criminal activity, I mean bending rules everywhere or just outright breaking them. And we can say that because we know for a fact all of our leaders are not following our laws at all in the organization. They're not following the Constitution. Forget the Constitution. Forget the other laws. Forget you. You heard a recording where our CEO said some things don't need a meeting. I can play it again right now. He went on to say, I'm going to change the laws, or I'm going to make change. His exact words, I'm going to change things. Your job is to, I think he said, follow it, do it. Something to that extent. I'm going to change things. Your job is to do it. Your job is to comply. Now, look at those words. I'm going to change things. You do it. Okay? But when it comes to you complying with what the law says, well, you want to skirt around the subject. And this is why our leaders don't talk about the law. You don't hear them talking about the law. You don't hear them pointing to the law. You don't hear them directing attention to the law. You don't hear them talking about even holiness. You don't even hear them talking about walking right, living right, expecting you and I and even themselves to do right. I just played a recording because this is where we are right now lost. He said, talking about people doing what's right, that we need to do what's right. He said, you don't have to mistreat people. He said, you don't have to do wrong thinking that you're right. Right? The point of the matter is, and we're going to play it again in case I'm wrong. But the point of the matter is they are pointing out criminal executives and nonprofits. For many years prior to the market collapse of 2008, yes, there was a market collapse because of executives that were doing wrong. They were harming the public, harming the organizations they were part of, stealing, robbing, creating laws to damage and hurt the people beneath them left and right. And the market collapsed as a result of a whole lot of people in a whole lot of executive positions doing a whole lot of wrong. And the people didn't know about it, so it once again harmed the public. And by people who are supporting wrongdoing or behind wrongdoers and don't know they're doing wrong, and you refuse to take the time to research or look into matters that will determine whether or not they're doing wrong, then you are doing yourself an injustice and you're doing the public an injustice. And where that wrong leads to is going to be the people being in a worse position. But it goes on to say this. Many years prior to the market collapse of 2008, overfed, overpaid, white-collar financial analysts told us that this company, I'm not going to name the company, is doing wonderful. Another company is at the top of its game. Don't fear. Invest. Buy this. Give them your money. Put your money here. Put your money there. You have these individuals telling you where to put your money, and trust them at their word, because your money's good with these companies and it's going to increase and it's going to help you. It's going to help you. It's going to benefit you. It's going to put you in a better position tomorrow. You put it there today and let it grow, and over a little bit of time, you're going to be blessed tomorrow. This is exactly what's been said in our organization. Give, 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 give. Don't give a little bit, give more. Don't give a little bit, give more. And it's been said that when you give, God's going to give to you. You give to him, he's going to bless you. He's going to take care of you. When it comes to what the members in our organization call love gifts, our leaders will get up and say thank you. And you'll hear it in many, many different recordings. Thank you for the demonstration of your love. Thank you for exemplifying your love. My question is, where's the demonstration of your love? My question is, where are you exemplifying your love? Love is not in words, it's in deeds. Why is it that these men are always saying that when it comes to how you give and give and give to them? But when there's individuals that come to them with problems of abuse and all kinds of other very personal problems that are strong accusations of leaders being involved in many types of wrongdoing, to include some of the most grotesque subjects that I'm not going to go into. Why is it that these individuals talking about thank you for your demonstration of your love, why is it that they're not demonstrating love? Not just turning a blind eye to people in need. We have many people coming forward with their testimonies and their stories about how they reached out in their time of need. People have given hundreds of thousands of dollars. People have given even over millions. Some didn't have it to give, but they gave their time. 8, 10, 12 hours a day, working in the kitchens of the house of prayer, working on the grounds of the house of prayer. We've had women in dresses pushing lawnmowers to cut grass, to take care of the maintenance of the house of prayer, because the leadership refused to do so. We've had senior citizens doing all kinds of work in the house of prayer, to the house of prayer, for the house of prayer, to save money, because the leaders did not give a budget to take care of the expenses of the needs of the maintenance of the building or the grounds. Where is the demonstration of your love to the people who's showing you, through their demonstration, their love for you? Where's your demonstration for your love towards the house of prayer that you love so much? When the house of prayer is going down, the maintenance of the buildings. What about those who poured out their 50, 60, 70 years in the organization and they gave everything they could? And now they're in our senior living establishments, our senior living quarters. And they're no longer in a position where they can give like they used to give, or work like they used to work, or do the things that they used to do. And now they're in these positions where their Social Security checks are being siphoned. They're being told to continue giving, still try to make G-class reports, love gift reports, tithes, and offerings. Where's our love for them? For the members who we see internal issues with, no conflict resolution, not trying to bring together. But when there's somebody that has a question and they're about to expose something wrong, all of a sudden your love points a finger at them to cause others to get on them, and it further divides by now turning people against them. And now individuals feel some type of way because they're being personally, verbally attacked until they get tired and they stop coming. Where's your demonstration of love to the members of the organization? When the members are in situations where they've lost jobs. Right now we're in the economy again where people are finding it difficult to find jobs. Even those who do have jobs, even nice paying jobs, $25 an hour jobs. There's people working full time at minimum wage and many people working full time above minimum wage that still cannot make ends meet because the economy right now is so bad. There's many people who don't have the insurance coverages to take care of their most basic needs. There's many people because of the rent situation and the housing situation and the taxing situation, because of the food shortages or the food hikes and because of the different things that's being done as a result of tariffs being placed and companies passing down those higher expenses to the consumer as they raise their prices of the items on the shelf. Eggs right now for a dozen in some places are upward of $10, as much as $16 and $17 a dozen in certain states. What are we doing for them? How are we showing our love for them? These individuals need help. And these individuals need help now. This is 1 hour. I'm going to cut this video off, and I'm going to come right back. I know I said that I'm going to play the recording. Matter of fact, 1 second. I'm going to pull it up again. Right now, there's calls coming in back to back to back to back, and I don't want to stop to see what's going on. So I'm gonna end this video, and I'm gonna pick up with that sound bite, the video, in the next one, and I'm gonna make the next one. The very next video is gonna come right after this one. It'll be coming right after. I'll see you in the next video.